Hi everybody, I'm Diane Brady. I'm here with Liz Agbor-Tabi, who is the Vice President of Global Policy and Strategic Partnerships for Global Citizen here in Davos. Liz, welcome. You made a big announcement today. Let's start with that.
Thank you, Diane. Thanks for having me. So we're just coming off the heels of the expansion of our Move Africa initiative. Move Africa is a multi-year, multi-market Pan-African campaign that is working to create really a sustainable live entertainment touring circuit across the African continent. Mm-hmm. Usually when you hear that global artists are doing world tours, there's typically one region that is excluded from those tours, and it's Africa. Well, mm-hmm. Sometimes there's an exception, and there's maybe one show in Johannesburg.
Right.
What we're doing is creating an ecosystem to promote tourism, and that's tourism touring for both global international artists and local regional Pan-African artists. And in doing so, we're creating jobs, we're creating significant social and economic impact. We're upskilling contributors to the sector, and we're also creating an enabling environment really that says welcome to Africa. We're open for business, and really helping to share and highlight the inherent rich cultural heritage that's here on the continent.
Let's unpack this a little bit, because what's taken us so long? Why is it that artists will only stop in Johannesburg? Is it because there hasn't been an infrastructure?
Well, it's infrastructure. It's also the lack of gear. So the lack of gear, there is a skills gap also. So finding venues with appropriate contributors that have the skills to put on world-class events is often challenging. And then sometimes it's just fear. Mm-hmm. It's just the unknown. People don't know the region and aren't aware of just how much talent exists here on the region. And so everything that we're doing is just demystifying, these notions that people have on tourism here.
Artists going to the continent, but also it's a lot of the talent within Africa, sort of creating more of an ecosystem there.
I think it's really important to note that what we're doing is highlighting the talent that is here on the continent,
yes,
and ensuring that we can have a flow across the continent, as well as flow of artists, international artists, global artists. So this I think it's important that this isn't misconstrued as an effort to simply bring global artists to the continent, but it's really
that would be part of the opportunity, but the bigger
absolutely. It's about creating a shared stage, a shared platform for artists to be able to perform together. So what we did in Rwanda, for example, in December in Kigali, we brought Kendrick Lamar, who's possibly one of the greatest artists mm-hmm. of our time, and Kendrick Lamar headlined the show, and he shared the stage with local and regional artists, and it was an homage to the rich Rwandan culture, and it also celebrated North American sort of rap culture as well.
Let me remind people about Global Citizen's mission, because I've certainly been to the concert in Central Park, but especially in the context of Davos, tell us a little bit more about the unique kind of proposition you bring.
Global Citizen is an organization that exists to end extreme poverty across the world, and we do this through our unique pop and policy sauce.
You have to earn your way into the audience.
You have to earn. Our Global Citizen events are typically earned. Access to our events are earned, and they're earned by taking action. And taking action means using your platform, your voice, your agency to urge decision makers to make those policy shifts or to make the financial commitments that are required to achieve the 2030 agenda. So we believe that the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, that mm-hmm. if we can achieve those goals, we can end poverty for everyone in the world by 2030.
I want to get back to Davos, because it's one of those things that oftentimes people say global elite going to a ski resort in Switzerland. What's the value of this place for you?
To end extreme poverty requires the action taking, right, from global citizens, so everyday people like you and I, governments, the private sector, civil society, and NGOs. And this is a nexus of all of those sectors, right? And so being here in Davos enables us to be able to engage all of the necessary actors that are required for us to achieve our mission. So of course we wouldn't miss Davos.
Is there anything on your radar you want to put on ours, even in terms of the conversations you're either hearing or not hearing?
Absolutely. I think, Africa is so rich in terms of culture, heritage, and there's tremendous untapped opportunity in the creative sector. And I think, there's been, for years, there's been investors have been sort of afraid of venturing into Africa. A lot of that is driven
1 billion
by
consumers.
1 billion consumers. 70% of the continent is under age 30. Africa's projected, that youth demographic is projected to be the largest consumer base globally. And so there's tremendous untapped potential there. And we just want to encourage investors to look at Africa, to look at the rich cultural heritage and the creative economy, and to join us, global citizen,
I want to say one thing, which is, having lived in Kenya, I think in many ways with M-Pesa, they've actually been ahead of us in terms of e-commerce and such.
Absolutely.
So goes both ways. Great to have you here. Anything else you want to say in terms of even some of the takeaways, how people should be thinking about both Davos and also the agenda for 2024? People have called it the year of instability, the year of AI. What is it the year of for you?
For me, it's the year of creating livelihoods and economic opportunities for a new era. And thinking about the youth of Africa, and they don't want to be doctors and engineers and lawyers. They are venturing
you and I
into.
Are not either. So there you
well,
go.
Well, I was.
Okay.
Good
for you.
But a lot of Africa's youth, given rapid urbanization and all of the changes that we're seeing in Africa, are really vested in this creative economy. And so I think as we think about creating jobs for a new era and a new future, let's think about how we can support this growing demographic to meet their aspirations for livelihoods and economic opportunity.
Can't think of a better theme than that. Thank you for joining us, Liz.
Thank you so much for having me, Dan.